Buffalo brother George, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Buffalo brother John, how you doing on this fine Friday evening, 2 days before the AFC championship game?
We already did a video this week. We got a pop-up video.
Yeah, we got a pop-up.
Pop-up video. We're going to talk about the game coming up, the AFC championship
Yeah,
game.
our last video, we talked about the Bills' victory over Baltimore Ravens, which was fantastic, and a little bit of Buffalo magic. And now we're ready to take on the NFL Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in their home field.
Right.
Arrowhead Stadium, we're coming. It's going to be cold. The Bills don't care. It's going to be loud, but the Bills don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. We're going, guys. We're going, and we're gonna
win. All right.
win. Okay.
Sounds good. So how are we going to do this? So let's see. Like we were going to talk about, we were going to start off maybe with, like we've been waiting a little bit to do this because we wanted to find out about the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
What have you heard?
Well, I heard that Rapp did not practice 2 days in a row. I don't know what he did today, but it doesn't sound good, and it sounds most likely like we're going to not have Rapp.
I believe that Sal Capaccio said today that Rapp is out.
Okay, well, I wouldn't doubt it. That means Cole Bishop's going to play.
Yep.
You know, somebody earlier was speculating, oh, Micah Hyde, Micah Hyde. How are you going to take a guy that hasn't played in over a year and just throw him out in the AFC Championship game? I don't think you do. But
it would be quite the emergency.
Right. It would be an emergency.
You would need, I think, if they really thought that he was going to help them this year, in a game, I think they would have needed to have gotten him game experience, and he probably would have had to come back quite a bit sooner. Maybe week 4, week 5, week 6, he would needed to come back.
Now Cole Bishop, that could be a weak link in our chain. Yeah. And I expect Kansas City's tight ends between Kelsey and who's the other guy they got? Oh, Noah Gray to attack that position.
Well, listen, Hamlin is already a weak spot. So if you're talking about Bishop being weak, that makes for a very weak safety tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other injury updates?
It sounds like Teron Johnson was on the fence. No, the Teron Johnson, yeah, he's on the fence. Remember, he landed funny with his arm out, and they were just trying to figure out if he had a full dislocation. It doesn't sound like he has a full dislocation on his shoulder, and he should be ready to go.
Do you know, has he been practicing even in a limited?
He's been practicing with a brace on in a limited capacity.
Okay.
So it's still a possibility he doesn't play, but most likely he will play. But how effective will he be?
Yeah, if your shoulder is not connected.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah.
They've got him in a brace, and they're keeping him in a non-contact jersey, and they're trying to keep the swelling down so that he's game ready, and hopefully he can make it through the game.
You know, today we saw a podcast on the Overreaction channel or whatever it is, YouTube, Jerry Ostrowski, and apparently Jerry works in some orthopedic clinic or whatever. Like he was in Oklahoma, I think, and Tulsa. He apparently works in something having to do with orthopedics, and he's talking about how their company or their place does a lot of hip replacements.
Mm-hmm.
But he had brought on yesterday or today, he brought on a physical therapy expert. And the guy said that he got to look at the back of the brace that Taron Johnson's wearing.
Okay.
And it looks like the type of brace that helps keep the shoulder in a socket.
Okay.
So he didn't get to look at the front. He said that there's essentially two types. One type, it just helps keep everything tight. The other type can actually restrict movement so that you don't damage it any further. He wasn't sure. He looked like just the type to help you keep it in place while you're working out or whatnot. But as opposed to the type that limits it, because that would indicate a much bigger problem. So we'll see. He might. You don't want to think of a guy having a problem tackling, or only feeling comfortable tackling with one arm, one shoulder, and not being able to go either way. But the drop off from him to Cam Lewis is, and I'm not criticizing Cam, it's just a big drop off because he's a good player. So if he could go, they need him to be out there.
Yeah, at this point, is the drop off from an injured Teron Johnson to Cam Lewis that big a drop? Is it a drop at all? We don't know. But when you look at Patrick Mahomes and the passing game, almost everything is short passes. And so Teron Johnson covering that line is covering a receiver or tight end coming off the line within a couple of yards is going to be very, very important.
Well, he almost never comes to tight end. He does slot receiver.
Okay,
So he doesn't have size. Tight end was very hard for him. He doesn't have height. He doesn't have size.
okay.
So but I guess anything can happen. With the way offenses move things around, anything can happen. But I think he's really a slot receiver guy.
And then Matt Milano had some kind of issue. I can't remember what it was, but it sounds like everything's going to be good to go for him.
A sore hamstring.
Okay.
But I believe he also practiced in a limited condition here. What the physical therapy guy said was he probably is in a position where he will go. And unless he has, like, he may be in a position where he could hurt it more during a game. But unless that happens, he may be fairly in pretty good shape. Like if he actually does something that causes it to further injure it, then he may not be able to return. But he might be just fine to last through the game without any real significant impact to his game, unless he hurts it again.
Yeah. And then the last one I heard about was Dan Dawkins, who had the flu. And yesterday he was back to full practice. It sounds like it was a 24-hour kind of bug. And
it sounds like he wasn't the only member of the
it was kind of going through the locker room.
I think I heard Josh had a touch of something.
For this particular Bills team,
yeah.
I don't mean the Bills overall, because we didn't see these issues in the 90s. But right now, for this particular Bills team, it comes to late in the playoffs, and all of a sudden there's issues that come up out of the woodwork. Like, what do you mean he's got what do you mean this guy got a hamstring issue? He was just out there yesterday. It just, that's our football. That's what happens. Although I think this team is going to be much healthier than the team that faced Kansas City last year in the playoffs.
And they'll be much healthier than the Bills were last year.
Than the Bills, than they were last year in the playoffs. And
at least to start the game.
At least to start the game.
At least to start the game.
And I know that you and I talked about it. I always go with who's got the better quarterback when I think it's a close game. Really, I think it's too close to call. Patrick Mahomes has just been a champion over his career in Kansas City. And I think Josh Allen is playing better than he has ever in his time in the Buffalo Bills. So it's kind of a pick 'em between those quarterbacks. And that's how I feel about it. And I think it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be a heck of a game.
Okay.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Where else would you rather be than right here and right now? With the Super Bowl. But we're not there yet. So let's see if we can get there.
The Super Bowl, like right now, well, today, we're in Orlando, just outside Orlando, Florida. It was 45 degrees this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now it went up into the mid 50s. So that a big difference. Coming home,
we got to put the furnace on.
Yeah, well, the heater. Yeah, we don't really have a furnace, but we did have to put the heater on.
We had to put the heater on, and two blankets for my nap.
Well, once we had the heater on, I was good. But Mr. No Circulation needed
not one blanket, two blankets.
Yeah.
Blankets.
Yeah, that is true.
Instead of shorts, I got long pajama bottoms on. That's right, long.
Got socks on? No. Okay, we're still doing no socks. All right. So we're still good there. Yeah. All right. Going into this game, you were starting to get into what you thought might happen. Do you have any particular players to watch?
Well, I think Shakir is going to be one to watch.
Okay.
What kind of damage can he do over the middle of the field? And he is an outstanding run after the catch kind of a guy. And so I think he's one to watch. I think Josh Allen's one to watch with his legs. How much will he run? how much will he get us that extra first down or extra yards? Will the Kansas City Chiefs allow him to slip the pocket and lumber down the field for 10, 15, 20 yards?
I don't know. That's a good question.
And my answer is I think we're going to see him do it a lot.
Okay.
I think the run game is good. I think they have the ability to run the ball. I think Kansas City knows that, and they're going to try to stop the run. And by that I mean they're going to be keen on James Cook. And
Being on James Cook, I
when they
see.
key on James Cook, that means Josh Allen could get away, or they could bring in a guy like Ty Johnson, who can run it and can slip out and catch a pass.
Mhm.
So I think they're going to key on Cook, but I think that Josh Allen might be the running back to watch this week.
I'm sorry, did you say Ty Johnson is the running back to watch?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is the running back to watch. Okay. Okay. Well, that could be. Um, we'll have to see. Like, look, one of the things that when they went to this, everybody eats philosophy and nobody has talent
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, then that's fine. It got them a lot of wins in the regular season, but they've had a lot of wins in the regular season before. So last week they played mistake-free football, which really helped them beat a team that's fairly comparative to them,
Mm-hmm.
like in the Ravens. So if they're going to go on the road, and we'll have to see how this everybody eats thing does. Um, there were a number of times against Denver and against Baltimore where Allen had nobody to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm thinking that that's part of the reason why you're thinking that that's why the quarterback is going to have to run, because there may not be much to throw to. Part of the reason Ty Johnson has been more of a threat at receiver is because other guys are, he's Allen is scrambling, he's making a play. Ty's the only one open.
And he's able
It's
to
because
get
he
out
came
and
out
get open.
late,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. He's getting out late. So that is not what Ty's done has been impressive in that he has partnered with Allen to make some great plays. Allen's had to make a great throw and he's had to make a great catch. Great, that's fine. It's been working. But I would like to see him, I would like to see him be able to complete passes to wide receivers, which means the wide receivers are going to across the board have to step up. Just absolutely step up.
That's a great point. And when you look at our wide receivers right now, we're talking besides Shakir, we're talking about Amari Cooper and Coleman, and sprinkling in of Curtis Samuel.
Mhm.
Now, Curtis Samuel in week 11, he had a good game against Kansas City. He was kind of a go-to guy, him and Shakir. Now you've got Coleman, who's been here the entire season. He's still a rookie, yes, but he's at the end of his rookie year. I don't know if he's not getting open, or if they've just decided not to throw down the field.
Well, I don't know either. In the last four games of the regular season, Allen was throw when he was lined up and had one-on-one. They had four wide receivers and one, or four receivers on one side, one on the other. If he was the one, he would often throw to him. It didn't necessarily always lead to a completion, but he often did throw to them. That seems to have cut back some, but the possessions are more important now. And Allen had that great line in a press conference after one of the games, a regular season game. Coleman had made a couple of big plays, and Allen was asked about it. And he said, when he knows where to be, he could really make a play. So there seems to definitely be some, I don't want to say miscommunication, but just
It's still a learning process.
Well, yeah, I think a learning process for Coleman, and there is no real comfort there with him and Allen
Let's
just yet.
when you talk about it, Kansas City's cornerbacks, you've got Trent McDuffie, who may be one of the best in the league.
1 second, George. I'm going to pause. Resume.
Okay.
You were talking. I forget who he is.
I said Trent Duffy is one of, if not the best, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And so whichever wide receiver they put him on, that kind of takes Trent McDuffie out of the game. And then they've got this guy Watson, who is back, and I don't remember if he's a cornerback or a safety.
Okay. Uh,
But you've got kind of an iffy cornerback on the other side. So the other guy, whether that's Cooper, whether that's Samuels, whether that's Coleman, however they line up, they may have some opportunity. But I'll tell you the truth, I think their best opportunity is going to come over the middle between the tight ends. And Dawson Knox has been hot the last 4 or 5 games. And two running backs over the middle, and Shakir coming out of the slot. I think that's where the Bills' running game is going to find the most
yeah,
advantage.
yeah. I don't know that I would describe Knox as being hot. I would say he's been average. It hasn't been particularly outstanding, just average. And Kincaid has disappeared, just fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's disappointing. When you look at our first round picks, you got Elam, and he's a good bench warmer, and you've got Dalton Kincaid. He's had some injuries this year, but overall, he's just not
But the
done
second year, he
anything.
never
Yeah,
showed. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not involved. And
If anything, there's been regression there,
and
which is really
Coleman,
sad.
our rookie running back, running
Right,
wide
receiver.
receiver, which should have been our first round pick, they pushed it to the second round, and then to get a third round pick in addition. He just hasn't given us a contribution that we thought we would see.
Well, I'll tell you, after watching Coleman perform, I'm not sure that he was worth the second round pick that they
Mm-hmm.
got. I mean, there were a lot of other receivers on the board, both when they traded back and receivers when they actually picked
Mm-hmm.
that have played better.
Yeah.
Second round receivers that have played better than him. Um, had they not picked him there, I wonder how far he would have dropped because other teams may not have valued him as high.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question. We'll never know.
Well,
But
that's kind of why I'm saying I think you're going to see Josh Allen put a little bit more of that Superman cape on and see him get things done. He wants to win this game, and he's going to do it. I think we're going to see
well,
him run the ball and run around and find the open guy if he's got to. But I think we're going to see more of the style earlier in the year of the Bills than we saw in the last couple of games, which is just a run slow, run slow, run out the clock. I don't think that's what we're going to see this game.
okay. All right.
And maybe that's what they want to do, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
But do you think that Kansas City is going to stop the run?
I think they're going to focus on stop and cook.
Okay.
And when they do that, Josh Allen is going to say, "Hey, I got to get this done," and he'll do it with his legs and he'll do it with his arm.
Right. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. I don't know that that is a formula for success. I hope that the Bills are able to get the Cook running. I hope that they can because if they can't, if their only weapon is Josh Allen, I think they're in for a long day.
Mm-hmm.
They're in for a long day because it's not an. He's great, but it's not enough. Okay. Did you have any players to watch? Just Cook?
Well, Josh Allen, I thought we should.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh
Yep.
Allen. Yeah. Yeah. So
And
Cook and Allen
Shakir.
and Shakir. Okay.
Right.
Excellent.
On the defensive side of the ball, um, we gotta get pressure on Mahomes.
Okay.
They always say don't blitz him because if you try blitzing Mahomes, he's just going to be able to find that open spot.
Mhm.
And he lives on short passes. I watched a couple of games with him, and what they do, John, it's ingenious. They line up and Mahomes takes the hike, and they got a tight end on the line who looks like he's going to stand there and block somebody, but he doesn't block anybody. And all the defensive players will run right past him, and the offensive players will go back for pass protection, and that tight end will find himself standing all alone at the line of scrimmage, where Mahomes just tosses the ball over 2, 3, 4 yards into his hands, and he runs down the field.
Why,
And I've seen it over and over and over.
why do you feel the Bills won't be prepared for this? I'm just asking.
I don't know
I'm
if
not being
they. I
sarcastic.
think
I'm
they
just asking.
they might be, But no, no, none of the other teams have been
because they're very good at it.
because they,
It's deceptive. They're very, very good at it.
yeah, the guy just stands there and nobody thinks, well, maybe we better cover him too. They just, oh, let's go get Mahomes. Let's go get Mahomes. And the pressure goes and the secondary goes back to cover receivers. And this guy just finds himself standing there. Okay, throw me the ball, Pat. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Do you know what green dog is?
Well, it's something to do with a
Yeah.
blitz.
If if you're a linebacker, say, and you have a running back or a tight
Mhm.
end, if the guy that you're supposed to cover, pass cover, stays in the block, then you blitz. Instead of just standing and doing
Well,
nothing,
maybe
you
that's what's
blitz.
happening.
Um, and that could be so, but the Bills a lot of times like they would like to live with just the four down linemen. So if the running back or tight end stays in the block, instead of green dog, their guy will become a robber. He'll go out into the middle. He has a predetermined position he's supposed to run to, backing up, and just to try to take some of those. Well, it might be a crossing pattern or whatnot to put himself in a position where the quarterback may not expect. So instead of blitzing, they may pull back. Whether or not that helps them actually with pass defense, I don't know. But that green dog is the guy that will blitz when his man stays in. And if that might be something that's happening there, which is why the tight ends are able to get so free. Although I got to say, Kelsey, the Bills have not been able to stop Kelsey in very many games. That doesn't mean that they lose the game. Just that how many times have you just look? He seems to know where to go, and what's his name? Mahomes seems to be able to find him.
Mhm.
It's uncanny how often he becomes a escape valve and they get a big play. Or it may not be a lot of yards. It might be a big play because the first third and long they convert and they keep the drive moving.
Well, the Chiefs are without Rasheed Rice. Uh, DeAndre Hopkins has not been the DeAndre Hopkins of the past. And they're making their pass plays with their two tight ends, Kelsey certainly, and Noah Gray. And the Bills got to know that, and they got to cover them. And another thing that we've seen in the past, not you and I, but I mean, it's been reported, is Patrick Mahomes, if you don't blitz him, he'll run around back there. He's like a Josh Allen guy, maybe
He
even
can be
better.
hard to get down. Yeah.
That you got to cover the receivers for maybe 9 or 10 seconds. How do you cover a guy like Kelsey for 10 seconds while Mahomes is running around like a chicken with his head cut off? You can't cover a guy for 9 seconds unless he's double teamed and they just sitting right on him. The Bills have to find a way to get in on Kelsey, get in on Mahomes in less time than that.
Sure, sure.
If they could cut that time down to 5 seconds,
Well,
and what I guess what I'm saying is when he's running around 9 to 10 seconds, he's whipping it down the field. He's whipping it down the field because that's who he expects to be open are his tight ends down there, and that's who's open. So when he's running around back there and you're starting to count as a defensive guy and you go to 6 seconds, 7 seconds, drop what you're doing and go find those tight ends.
yeah, I don't think McDermott is telling Rasul Douglas count, and after 6 seconds, just go run, find the tight end. That sounds like just a horrible
Maybe not,
defensive game plan.
but
Yeah,
but maybe your safeties need to know where those tight ends are.
I wonder if they will play something like they played more man against Baltimore than I was expecting.
Yes.
Will they do that against Kansas City? It's a very interesting question because that is not what they're known for.
Hmm. I think they might play more man against Kansas City, but they might do a combination of man and zone on the same play. Think
Yeah,
that's possible?
they've done that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
Half zone, half man. Sure,
mhm,
absolutely.
mhm. And take out those tight ends and maybe play zone with the wide receivers. I'm not sure. We'll see. But they don't have their running game. Kareem Hunt is the running back right now. Pacheco's back, but he hasn't been himself since he came back from injury. Kareem Hunt is running better than him, but even with that, he's not great. He doesn't have breakaway speed, and they should be able to hold back. The Bills should be able to stop that run game or at least control it. So
You're shaking the
yeah,
table.
if Mahomes is, or Kansas City is going to win, they're going to have to beat them through the air. They're going to have to use their tight ends, and I think that's where the Bills are going to focus their defense, getting some
Okay.
pressure on Mahomes and clogging up those tight ends coming off the line. Maybe it's hitting them as they come off the line and break up their speed off the line, or you know,
Okay.
sucking
So
safeties on them.
you've given us your keys, or not your keys, your players
Mhm.
that get to watch. Um, I would almost say for me, the guys that are coming off that now have these injuries.
Mhm.
Bishop is going to be, of course, because he's now a rookie. He's not, I don't know if he's a player to watch and he's going to make a play, but he's a player to watch is that he could let down the team. And then how Taron Johnson and you know Milano played well.
Mhm.
Uh, and they need him to play well again. So hopefully that he doesn't re-injure the leg and it also doesn't hamper him. One of the things that I discovered in watching the tape, Bernard did not have a good game like we thought. Like I thought he did. Watching the game live, I thought he had that fumble. He forced fumble. He was so out of position on that forced fumble that he couldn't tackle the guy. All he could do as the guy was running by him was
Punch
punch,
the ball, and it
was
worked.
punch at the ball, and it worked. So you give him all the credit in the world for forced fumble, but he was out of position there, and on run plays, Milano was getting in. Dorian Williams getting, Taron Johnson was getting. He was taken out by offensive linemen all day long. Somebody described it as he looked like a sock in the dryer, just getting flopped around out there. And that was a pretty good description from what I began to see. They controlled him. The offensive line controlled Bernard. He was not slipping
Well,
those
if
blocks and
that's
stuff.
it, do you put in Dorian Williams instead?
Well, the problem is that Williams is a backup for Milano, so you might get worse play. I don't know. I don't even know. Like that might be Buffalo Joe.
Mm.
Like that might be where they're at. Like the backup to Bernard, I think it is Dorian Williams. It probably is. I don't know that that's improved play. So Bernard, he's got to have a solid game.
Okay.
He can't just. The Buffalo Plus guys were having a joke. They when they said that when in the past when they would ask McDermott about Jermaine Edmonds, he would compliment them by saying he gets the guys in and out of the huddle. But now with Bernard, he talks about how he's repositioning and how good he's playing and what he needs to have a game. He's going to have a game, and those safeties are going to have to step up. Our safeties have given up big plays in both playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
How many big plays can you give up against
They've
KC
given
and
up
still
big.
win?
Yeah, they gave up big plays against Baltimore, letting
And
receivers
Denver,
get behind them.
and Denver got a long touchdown
Mm-hmm.
right
Yeah,
through
they
the
sure
safeties.
did. Yeah, that first
So
drive.
was it Mims? So those are the kind of mistakes that they're gonna have to figure out and hopefully not have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got anything else you want to say?
Special teams.
Okay,
Fortunately, we've seen Bass be very reliable throughout the playoffs so far, and let's hope that continues if push comes to shove. And I think he will be called upon to make some kicks this week, not just extra points, but field goals. And let's hope he can get it done. Let's stay the course like he's been through the playoffs so far.
you know, now that you said that, I didn't talk about the offense, but similar to last week, the offensive line as a group is probably the third best player we have. Allen Cook and them.
Hmm.
They got to have a game again. They had a good game against Baltimore. They got to do it again. They got to do it again.
Hmm.
So Brady's got to call a good game, and those guys have to execute. Okay, with special teams, I would say, look, a lot of teams go for it on fourth down now.
Hmm.
And you used to be in the old days when everyone was more conservative, you could kind of get a feel. If a coach was going for it on fourth down, they may have felt that they weren't measuring up in the game. Like, okay, we got to overcome the fact that we're away. We're on their home turf. We got to overcome that. Maybe I go for it on fourth down to deny them, keep a possession, keep the ball, deny them possession. But so many teams go for it on fourth down, and I think you can expect both of these two to go for almost every fourth and short. So you can watch for special teams, see if somebody does a fake. You can't you can't have a, a kickoff that's a which an onside kick anymore without giving notice. So that there's no surprise there. But the fake punt, even a fake field goal, a special teams play could be the difference here.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about Codrington?
Hell, he practiced.
He did.
He practiced last week. He was apparently able to go. They chose. It was a coach's decision.
Okay, well, maybe Codrington will be back, and that'll give us some kickoff or punt
Explosiveness,
explosiveness
maybe.
that we
Yeah,
haven't had
I
for a
don't know.
couple of
Like
weeks.
they chose not to play him,
Hmm.
so it's up to the coach to decide if he's going to play or not and
Hmm.
what he's looking for. I don't know if it was an issue of I feel more comfortable with Shakir or if it was a I need to. You only got 47 guys. I'm dressing this one instead because I need help in another position.
You know,
I don't know.
one thing I didn't bring up, I don't know how I forgot it, but Xavier Worthy in Kansas City, that speed.
Mhm.
And
They find a way to use them.
I made the statement that their threat is their tight ends, but you know, that's kind of a slap in the face to them by not mentioning Worthy. He found as a rookie that that he can be dangerous. And
He might have a day against these safeties.
if
Let's hope not.
if the Bills lose because of Worthy after they traded to Kansas City and allowed them to pick him in the draft, you're never going to hear the end of it.
Listen, they gave them the best quarterback maybe ever
Hmm.
in Mahomes,
Hmm.
right? They traded them the pick so
Yeah.
they could draft him. They they've done it again. They traded him a pick. We'll see how worthy turns out, and we'll see. He didn't really impact. He had a nice drive, one drive against them in the regular season, and then kind of disappeared in that game. We'll have to see if he makes a difference in this game.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I'm still thinking that the Bills can win this game, John.
You got a score?
I really do. I believe the Bills can win this game.
You got a score?
I think it's close, but I think it's high scoring, and I'm going to go Bills 34, Chiefs 30.
34 to 30. Okay, so I'm going to go 2017, Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Yes, usually my a score like I give is like the Bills beating them back, and so I like your score better than mine.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I just want to win.
Either way,
I'll take 34 points if we win.
who that? Who that may be going to Super Bowl? Who that? Who that? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Anything, anyway, enjoy the game. Have fun.
Have fun, guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.